the chapter on najasat. And this chapter is very important. Why? Because many of us do not understand what is najis in the Sharia. We may have something that we find karaha, we don't like it ourselves. Maybe if somebody sneezes on our clothing and we get some snot, to us is disgusting. Tayyib. And that may not please you and you can go wash it. That's your issue. Somebody else may be like whatever and they leave it. It's up to them. But najasat in Sharia are a hukam where you have Shari'i method of cleansing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has pointed to in the Quran. And our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam in Sahih Ahadith has explained how to do for which najasa. Different methods for different types of najasat. So it's not just about I find it yucky or disgusting or I don't like it. This is a part of ibadah. If you go, maybe you have some sand on your clothing, dust on your clothing. Can you make salah in it? Yes. Whether you like it or not, somebody may be like, yo, he looks dirty, but his salah is fine. But if you have, for example, walagh al-kalb, a dog licks your clothing, can you make salah in it? No. Because now you have a Shari'i ibadah. You have a hukam in the Sharia that ordains a particular cleansing. And if you don't do it, your salah is not accepted. Your ihram can be invalidated. And there are other issues. And inshallah we'll discuss what type of najasa and how much and all of that. But I want to emphasize the importance because this affects our daily salah. This affects our daily ibadat. Now, if you get a particular najasa on you, one thing is just to wash it. You get something on you, maybe there's some urine splashes on you, and you just want to wash it. That's up to you. But the Sharia requires particular types and particular number of washings. And this is the beauty of Islam. And Islam is such a clean religion. We talked about wudu, we talked about ghusl, we talked about other cleanliness in Islam. But also to keep the place of your prayer clean, to keep your clothes clean, to keep yourself clean, to be in a state of cleanliness from hadath al-akbar and asghar as we discussed earlier. This shows the beauty and cleanliness of Islam. طيب. فبدأ المؤلف, the author, he begins with تطهر الأرض ونحوها. طيب. The cleansing of the earth and what is like it. طيب. What is like the earth? For example walls, for example rock, cement places, trees, plants. What is like what is on the ground? How do you cleanse it? So he mentioned بإزالة العين النجاسة وأثرها بالماء. So what is the hukam if there is a najasa, something filthy on the earth, or what is like the earth? For example, carpet. For example, walls. For example, if you have a garden, what is like it? If something filthy in the Sharia, something najis in the Sharia gets on the earth, how do you cleanse it? As the author mentions, by removing the actual najasa and its athar and its you can say its traces with water. طيب, from the matan we can tell that the muallif is saying that once is enough. Even though he didn't say it, but this is from the one who studies Sharia. From the matan they can derive istidlalan certain ahkam. Because he didn't say marrathain or thalatha or sab'a. Once is enough. So what do you have to do if there is najasa on the ground or anything like the ground? For example, on your carpet at home or on a wall. If you put enough water on it to take away the najasa and its traces in one washing, this would be enough. طيب, the Sharia, now this is a very important principle to understand. The Sharia sets your minimum, not your maximum. What does that mean? If there is najasa on the ground, for example, you're sitting and there's wooden floor, and a child who is not a boy, or a boy past breastfeeding, or a girl urinates on that wooden floor, and you pour water on it, and once is enough that it takes away the urine and its effects. طيب? Now we'll talk about there are three athar, three methods of traces. One is the color, one is the smell, and one is the taste. We'll talk about that later, inshallah. But if one amount of water is enough that it takes away the najasa and its effect, this in the Sharia cleanses that ground. This is enough. طيب? What is the dalil for that? A dalil, a hadith fi Sahih Muslim, hadith is number 285. Imam al-Tirmidhi has also recorded it and graded it to be Hasan Sahih. As he mentioned in the Sahih of Muslim, so it's authentic. And many of the other books of hadith have it as well. Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, he mentions about the Arabi that came to the masjid, فَقَامَ وَيَبَال, yabul, he urinated fil masjid, in the masjid. Now, this is something ajib, but in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, many of the people didn't understand the concept of a masjid. And today, we understand the place is a place of ibadah. But the Bedouins, the Arabi, they didn't have these concepts because they didn't even have houses. They used to live in tents. So for them, if they went somewhere and the place was there, they didn't think, oh, this is not a place of urination. For them, the whole world was a bathroom to them. So this Bedouin, when he came to the masjid, and the masjid at the time didn't have carpet, it had gravel. So he didn't think it to be something strange, he went and urinated. Now, as we know from the longer hadith, the Sahaba, they became upset, but Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told them to let him finish. And when he finished, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as the great teacher that he was, alayhi salatu wasalam, he explained to him that this is a place of ibadah, not a place of urination. Now, the Bedouin, as the longer hadith mentions, he saw the Sahaba, ghadibun, they were upset. And he saw that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam dealt with him very softly. So in the longer version of the hadith, he made a dua. I'm just mentioning this from the fa'idah. He made a dua, he said, oh Allah, have mercy on me and on Muhammad, alayhi salatu wasalam, and upon nobody else. Because the Sahaba were angry, so only mercy on me and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told him, you have restricted something that is vast, something that is so huge, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't restrict to just me and you. And this is for some of our brothers today in our ummah, may Allah guide us, they want to restrict the ummah. Everybody is off the manhaj, everybody is wrong, everybody is la'natullah alayhim, except for me and my 10 friends. Jannah wasn't made for you and your 10 friends. So, this is a beautiful hadith. What is the fiqh, hukam we derive from it? And Sahih hadith is that Arabi, he urinated on the ground. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered for one pitcher of water to be brought and to be poured over it. And as the najasa of the urine washed away, this was enough. So from this Sahih hadith, we realize that if there is najasa on the ground, or what is like the ground, then one pouring of water, if it takes away that najasa and its athar, then this is enough. Tayyib. The muallif, he continues, he said, وَبَوْلُ الْغَلَامِ لَمْ يَأْكُلْ تَعَمًا. Tayyib. The muallif, now he's talking about a second category, which actually brings into light three major categories. Tayyib, the first thing we dealt with is najasa that's on the ground. Tayyib, but that does not include najasa that may get on your clothes or on yourself or on something that is not easy for it to wash away. For example, carpet. Now carpet can come under the hukam of ard, of the earth, if it is like the earth, meaning it's like the rough carpet that's not so soft like the ones we have today, and water will take the najasa away. But if carpet is like clothing, where it absorbs the najasa, then the hukm changes. طيب? So now here the muallif is going to go through, but I'm going to, for the benefit of the tullab ilm, I'm going to explain it in a little bit different manner. Because every matan is written to make easy for the student to understand. And then sometimes some mutun, they are able to reach it better. From here, the matan of Umda of Ibn Qudama actually explains it better. So I'm going to bring some points of benefit from it. How to categorize najasat other than what is on the earth. طيب? Here, as Ibn Qudama has mentioned al-Umda, there are 3 types of najasat. طيب? Every talib ilm, whether you're sitting here with the sisters or brothers, or those watching online, or later, maybe I'll be dead and somebody will be watching these. Everybody should memorize these because they have to do with your daily life. Fardul ain upon you to know these. طيب? أقسام النجاسات 3: مغلظة، متوسطة، ومخففة. The najasat are of 3 types. Those of you that were in the earlier durus in Umda or other durus that we had, alhamdulillah, you know this already. But it's a revision for you. Those of you that were not, it's obligatory, it's fardul ain upon you to memorize these and to learn them and to know them. طيب. مغلظة, this is the major form of najasa. متوسطة, this is the medium form of najasa. مخففة, this is the light form of najasa. طيب. Now how will you learn what is what? طيب, there's an easy method. It's a trick to memorizing. There are 2 مغلظة, 2 مخففة. 2 major impurities, 2 minor. And everything else that's najis will fall in the middle. There's an easy way for you to. Now the matan doesn't break it down like that, so that's why I'm kind of deviating a little bit from the matan, even though I will read and explain the matan as well. But this is to make it easy for you to remember. I don't want you to sit in these durus and be like, mashallah, great dars, and then not remember. I'd rather you say, the guy didn't know what he's talking about, me, but then you learn your lesson. It's okay. You can make fun of me later, it's okay. But if you learn the lesson, this is what's important. طيب. So what is مغلظة؟ النجاسة المغلظة هو نجاسة الكلب والخنزير. It is the filth from the dog and pig. طيب. Why? What is the dalil for the pig? For the pig, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called it rijsun in the Quran. He called it filthy in the Quran. And for the dog, we know there are a hadith. For example, what is reported in al-Bukhari, hadith number 172. And it's also in Muslim, hadith number 279. And it is mentioned in An-Nisa'i and At-Tirmidhi, and Imam Ahmad has mentioned many riwayat of it. No doubt it is authentic through many asanid. Where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he told us, إذا شرب الكلب في إناء أحدكم, if a dog licks or drinks in the bowl of one of you, فليغسله, then wash it 7 times. طيب. As I mentioned, this hadith is mentioned in many books of ahadith, including Bukhari and Muslim. Muttafaqun alayhi, there is no doubt to its authenticity. Because it's mentioned through many chains of narrations, many riwayat, some of the wordings are a little bit different and we will benefit from each wording, inshallah. What is the first thing to understand? That this is a very extreme form of najasa. Why? Because when the Bedouin urinated, what did Rasulullah ﷺ order? Just 1 pouring of water. But here, when the dog licked the bowl, what was the hukm of Rasulullah ﷺ? 7 washings. 7 washings. And one of them, أحدهن بالتراب, one of them with earth. طيب, I'm not going to go deep into the khilaf ulama because this dars we're trying to keep it summarized. I will mention some points of fawaid from it, but not going to go deep into it. The hadith in Sahih Muslim, it mentions أولهن بالتراب, the first of them بالتراب. There is an opinion that the last of them, but this is a weak opinion based on shadh narrations. So I will just mention what is correct and the opinion of the Jamhur, the majority, and what is clear from the hadith in Sahih Muslim is that if a dog licks your bowl or your dish, then you have to wash it 7 times. This is mughallada. This is the major impurity. And the first of those washings with turab. Is it 8 washings or 7? It's 7. And it will stick to what is rajih. When it mentions 8, what is that talking about? Meaning that this 7 washings has an additional substance, which is the earth. Is it the first washing or last? It's the first washing that you have to put with it earth. Yani, somebody may say aqlan, if you put dirt on the last one, then the dirt's going to have effects left on it. But we don't have to go to aqal because we have naqal, we have clear nusus. In Sahih Muslim, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, أولهن بالتراب, the first one بالتراب. طيب. Now, when we talk about the dog, a very practical hukam for each one of us. What part of the dog is najis? Yani, is the whole dog najis? Is it the hair on the dog, is it najis? Is it just the saliva? What about the drool from the nose? What if a dry dog just brushes up against you? And it's very important because why? We live in America, right? In the West, there is a fitna nowadays where people, they love their dogs more than they love their children. And you'll see many people from the kuffar, when you ask them, do you have children? They'll say yes. And when they show you their child, there'll be this little dog that they'll be carrying. This is my child. Good luck your child taking care of you when you get old. Or making dua for you when you die. But this is why, because in the West what happened is people love their shahwat more than their children. Those of you that have children, and the sisters will know what I'm talking about more than the brothers, you have to sacrifice a lot. You have to sacrifice your sleep. I've got 4. So may Allah reward my wife for all what she goes through, but I can tell you, from all the sisters here that have children, they have sacrificed a lot for children. Sleep and peace of mind. From the fathers, your wealth, kiss money goodbye, your time, patience, all that. And the kuffar, they don't want to do that. They don't care about their children. So they want to party. They want to live it up. So what do? Instead of having children, they have dogs. Why? Because the dog, they lock it up in the daytime or throw it somewhere at night. They don't really care about it so much, but the dog shows unconditional love. A dog is a great creation of Allah. We as Muslims, we love the dog. We love pigs. And if people think we hate pigs, we don't hate pigs. We just don't kiss them. We love dogs. Alhamdulillah, we just don't, not us. Why? It's a creation of Allah. We love the makhluk of Allah. Every dog, every pig, it makes dhikr of Allah. We don't hate it. We just know its place. The kafir, they don't know the place. They take a dog, and the place of the dog is to protect. Like a big dog is there as a harith, it's a protector. And what do? They put pink bows on them. They put little sweatshirts on them, little sweaters. And that dog is upset. It's like, what are you doing to me? They take it and put it in the house, and when the dog urinates or defecates, they put its mouth in it. Dhulm on the poor dog. The poor dog is doing what it's meant to do. But a dog is meant to be outside. It's not meant to sleep with you. And this dhulm, a dog is meant to run around and herd. Like some dogs are shepherds. Then you tie it up in the house, the poor dog's going crazy. And a dog is meant to do, for example, they're hunting dogs. They're meant to hunt. But now you put lipstick on it and take pictures with it and send it out on your Instagram or your Twitter. Poor dog, if it could speak to you, would tell you, Ya zalim. And you're making dhulm on him. But what about the najasa of the dog? According to the Malikiyya, Imam Malik and his madhab, and what is mu'tamid from it, the dog, all of it, including its saliva, is tahir. It's an opinion. And many brothers that talk about Maliki, but you ask them about the madhab, they don't know the madhab. According to Shawafi', Imam al-Shafi'i, and those who follow his madhab, according to the mu'tamid, the whole dog, even if it's dry, all of it's najis. According to the Shafi'i madhab, the whole dog, from the beginning to the end, even if it's dry, is najis. And there is khilaf between the Shawafi', I'm giving you the mu'tamid of it. According to the Ahnaf, the Hanafi madhab, and the Hanabila, the madhab of Imam Ahmad, the wetness from a dog is najis, but not the dry parts of it. And this is rajih. This is the correct opinion. Why? Because when you look at the hadith, إِذَا وَلَغَ الْكَلْبِ, if the dog licks or drools in the dish of a person, then the hukam is given. So we cannot say that the dry dog, if it brushes against you, this is najis. Tayyib? So what is clear is the wetness from the dog, وَلَغَ الْكَلْبِ, is what is najis. Tayyib, what about the Malikiyya? Why do they say it's not najis? They say the dalil they have is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it halal for us to hunt. And when you hunt, the hunting dog, it brings back your prey, the prey that you hunted. So they say if it's najis, but the dog carries the prey in its mouth, then you would not be able to eat it. Tayyib, but this istidlal is mistaken. Why? Because first you have a sarih, clear dalil that إذا ولغ الكلب, يعني if the dog, it licks the dish, it has to be washed 7 times. And in the riwayah that Imam Muslim has mentioned, it also mentions that you spill the contents of it. The contents of the bowl, you spill it out. Ibn Daqiq al-Eid, one of the ulama who was an expert in Shafi'i and Maliki fiqh. And Ibn Abdul Barr, the great Maliki alim as well, he says that the Malikiyya said about this, that this washing is just out of precaution or an ibadah, a worship, but not because of najasa. But Ibn Daqiq and Ibn Abdul Barr and them, even though they were Maliki, they said the Maliki madhab has made a mistake here. Why? Because if it was just out of ibadah, then you would not spill the contents of the bowl. Because israf then, if that water is not najis, then to spill it would be israf, would be a waste. So this is a mistake on their part. Okay, what about their dalil about hunting? What about the dalil about hunting? As Shaykhuna ibn Uthaymeen in Sharh al-Mumti' and other ai*imma and ulama, Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan and others have pointed out that when you hunt, when the dog brings the prey to you, you don't just take it and start biting and eating it. Right? I'm summarizing from their works. Again, if you ever go hunting and the dog brings a bird you hunted, you don't just take it and just gnaw into it. Right? You defeather it, you clean it, you wash it, you cook it, and then you eat it. Right? So that's not a dalil. From the clear hadith, what is rajih is the wetness from a dog is najis. That includes its saliva from the mouth and nose. Tayyib, so if a dry dog, a dog that does not have wetness, rubs against you or you pet it, you do not have to wash your hand or your clothes 7 times, one of them with earth. Tayyib? This is what's rajih. But if the wetness from a dog, whether a dog licks you or the wetness of the nose touches you, or if a dog is wet and rubs up against you or you touch it, then that has to be washed 7 times, one of them with turab. Why the body? Because the dog, it licks itself. And if it gets wet, then that saliva can transfer over to you. But the dry dog is not najis. The wetness from a dog is najis. And that is what is clear bid-dalil. Tayyib. Now we mentioned one of the cleansing has to be bit-turab, with the earth. What if you use soap in its place? There is khilaf ulama, but the madhab is that it is acceptable. If it cleanses like that of the turab, it is acceptable. Why? Because detergents and soap were not there in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if something does cleanse like that with turab, and it was not there in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then qiyasan you can use it. Right? So here there is qiyas and there is dalil, so there is jawaz to use it. Some of the a'imma and ulama, they said no, you have to stick to turab, and that is the safest view. Yani if you can use earth to cleanse it, this is better. But if you do not, then qiyasan, you cannot say that other cleansing agents cannot be used because they were not there in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So qiyas can be used here and they can be used. Tayyib, what about a dog licking your clothes? Is the licking only for the bowl or a dish? La. Even though I know some of the du'at on YouTube and others, they have videos saying that it's only for the dishes. But you can look in the book Sharh al-Mumti' al-ازالة al-Mustakni' of Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen. And this Shaykh, this alim of ours, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, he quotes from Dalail and from the earlier a'imma and ulama like Ibn Qudama and others, that no, even if a dog licks your clothes or yourself, it has to be washed 7 times. The first of them with earth or soap, detergent, or whatever else will take its place. Tell you why? Because when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam talked about the bowl, it doesn't mean only the bowl. Why? Because we cannot take something so restricted. It shows the najasa of what licks, yani the saliva of the dog. Otherwise you will say only in ina, yani bowls and dishes. Then yani if you talk about the Arabi, when he urinated in the masjid, you will say if there is urine in the house, then it's not najis. Why? Because al-Arabi, he urinated in the masjid, so it's only najis in the masjid. You can't say that, right? Why? Because the hukam on the urine is taken, not the place. So the hukam on the saliva of the dog is taken, not what he is licking. This is some of our brothers, may Allah guide them, when they have a lack of understanding of usul al-fiqh. Then what do? They look at a hadith and they start deriving ajib ahkam from it. And that's how we go back to the works of the earlier a'imma and ulama, and the major ulama, and from them who understand a hadith and fiqh and usul al-fiqh and other ulum, they derive a complete hukam from it. Tayyib, so if a dog licks a bowl or a dish or your clothing or you or anything else that is not the earth, then it has to be washed 7 times. The first of those times with the earth or a detergent or soap that would take its place. Tayyib. What about the pig? For the pig, as we mentioned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has called it rijs, فَإِنَّهُ رِجْسٌ, filthy in the Quran. And as Ibn Hazm and others have mentioned, that the A'imma and Ulama of Islam have a consensus that the pig is filthy, it is dirty. Imam Ahmad and others have mentioned that the najasa of the kalb is ashaddu min najasatul khinzir ashaddu min al-kalb. And this is the qawl of a Shafi'i as well, that the najasa of the pig is worse than that of the dog. So qiyasan, the pig and its saliva takes the hukm of the dog. So what is the major najasa? Two things. The wetness or the saliva of the dog and pig. And that has to be washed 7 times, first of them with earth or a soap or detergent that would take place of the earth. This is mughallada, major najasa. Only 2 things. What are they? Dogs and pigs. And the saliva or wetness from a dog and pig, not their dryness. Next, I will skip mutawassita and I will go to mukhaffafa. Why? Because mutawassita has a lot of things, but mukhaffafa only has 2. Major impurity only has 2 and minor impurity only has 2. So if you memorize those, then you will know that everything else will be middle, will be the medium impurity. Tayyib, mukhaffafa, the light impurity. What are they? We'll go back to the matan. Bawl al-ghulam lam ya'kul ta'aman, that the urine of a boy that does not eat solids. Now in the matan it clarifies also, and I will mention it, that this is the child that doesn't eat ta'am full time. Yani, even if a child is breastfeeding, sometimes you may feed him other things. Yani, even a child that's very young, the parents sometimes to supplement some other foods, that child is still under this hukm. But when a child, yani out of shahwa, he desires to eat solids, and that is the regular sustenance of it, or solid foods, then he's taken out from this hukm. And this is only for the ghulam, for the boy, not for the girl. Tayyib, so the urine bowl of a child that is still breastfeeding, in its major sustenance is from breastfeeding, then that urine is a light najasa, mukhaffafa. And for the mukhaffafa, it is enough to do nadah, yani to sprinkle water on it is enough to cleanse it. What does that mean? Tayyib, what if you go and your cousin has a little baby boy that is still breastfeeding, and they tell you, why don't you hold the little baby? You know, people like to always give you their babies to hold, I don't know why. And you're holding the baby and it lets go of urine, it's not wearing a diaper, and it gets urine on you. Say, what do you need to do to cleanse? The Shar'i cleansing, you can just take some water and sprinkle it on that clothing, it's enough. Now, for your own satisfaction, you may want to wash your clothes, that's fine. The Shar'i hukam does not set a maximum, it sets the minimum. What's the minimum you must do? You sprinkle water on it. If you want to wash your clothes, go for it, that's fine. But if you sprinkle water on it, you can go and make salah with it. The Shar'i hukam is done. Tayyib, first off, what is the dalil for that? The dalil for that is the Sahih hadith that is mentioned by many of the a'imma and ulama of hadith. Yani, it is something that is mentioned through many riwayat, and this is the hadith of Bawl al-Ghulam that is mentioned by Imam al-Bukhari as well, and Imam Muslim. It is muttafaqun alayh. Imam Ahmad and Tirmidhi and Abu Dawud have mentioned it, and the hadith is reported by Qais. Yani, Qais, she brought her child to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The boy, he urinated on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't get upset out of his good manners. He just ordered for some water to come, and nadaha, yani he sprinkled water on himself, and this was enough. This hadith is a dalil, and it is explained by other ahadith, like the hadith that Imam Ahmad had mentioned in his Musnad, which is Sahih. The Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam even explained the hukam at a different time. He explained that this is the urine of al-ghulam, it is a boy, and he is not eating solids. So he said it is enough to sprinkle water on it. And it's not one hadith, there are many ahadith that show at different times Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained this hukam. Tayyib, why the boy and why breastfeeding? We don't need to get into the difference of the structure of a boy's urine and a girl and the breastfeeding. We don't need to go there. Why? Because of the hadith. And the hadith is clear. Now, in Al-Kashaf, Kashaf al-Qina' al-Biyuti, he explains this hukam. He gives some of the hikmah. The boy's urine, it goes far. So it usually gets on more people and more of a person and things. But in the end, this is only to understand the hikmah behind it. Why? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said so. That is enough a dalil for us. So if there is a boy that is not eating solids, if he starts to eat solids and desire solids, and that becomes his major sustenance, then he's taken out of this hukam. Then you have to wash it as you have to wash the medium najasa. But if there's a baby boy and he's majorly breastfeeding is his major food, and its urine gets on you, then to sprinkle water is enough, a cleansing for it. Tayyib, mukhaffafa has a second thing that is also a light najasa. And this is the madhi, which is the clear liquid that comes before mani. Tayyib. And this is a light najasa. Now, mani, madhi, wadi, bowl, we will discuss all of them in the next dars in some detail. But here I'm just going to discuss madhi. Tayyib, what is the dalil for this? The dalil for this is the hadith that Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu has reported. There's also the riwayah of Sahl ibn Hanif radiyallahu anhu that Imam al-Tirmidhi has graded to be sahih. So Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu has a riwayah, and at a separate time Sahl ibn Hanif radiyallahu anhu also asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about madhi. Madhi is a clear liquid. It is not mani, it is not sperm. Rather, it is what is called pre-seminal fluid. Before sperm comes, it is a clear liquid that comes, and some people have an issue like Sahl ibn Hanif radiyallahu anhu and Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu, as from the Sahih Ahadith, that this comes a lot. So when they asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Ali radiyallahu, he sent the question to somebody else out of his shyness, then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained that this does not require washing. It is enough to nadaha, to sprinkle water on it. It invalidates the wudu. It does invalidate the wudu, but it does not require washing. Instead, if you sprinkle water, it is enough. Now, if you want to wash it, you can. But what is the Shar'i hukam? So these clear ahadith explain to us two light najasat. Tayyib. What are they? The urine of a baby boy that is still breastfeeding. Tayyib. And madhi, the clear liquid that comes, and this comes in men and women. Before al-mani, then this only requires nadah, to sprinkle water. That is a light najasa. So the major najasa, what two are they? Dog and pig. The saliva or wetness from them. And what do they require? 7 washings. The light mukhaffafa are two things. What are they? Urine of a baby boy that is still breastfeeding, and madhi. What do they require? Only wash, sprinkling. Every other najasa falls into what? Mutawassita. Easy way to memorize, easy way to learn. Tayyib? What do you have to do to cleanse from najasat that are mutawassita? Tayyib. Because we're studying a mu'tamid matan, I will mention the madhab of the Hanabila is 7 washings. 7 ghasalat. But as in al-Insaf and other books, it shows there is a lot of khilaf even within the madhab. And within the Shawafi' and the Ahnaf and the Maliki, you will find many. I'm not going to get into all of that. Why? Because this is not an advanced class, this is a beginning class. What is rajih? And what Shaykh al-Islam Muwaffaquddin ibn Qudama, he mentions to be the strongest for the madhab in al-Umda and in al-Mughni. And what is clear is that it requires 3 washings. 3 washings. Tayyib? Ibn Qudama took to be the rajih from the madhab for this. But those tullab who are advanced, you will know, to know the madhab, you look at al-Insaf and you look at Sharh Muntaha al-Iradat and others. Tayyib, where is the proof? Those a'imma and ulama that says that everything has to be washed 7 times, they bring a dalil from Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma, Abdullah ibn Umar, who mentions that umirna, we were ordered bin najasat for the najasat 7 ghasalat, 7 washings. But this hadith, its sanad is mu'allak, it's not there, so it cannot be used as a dalil. They also say that the only clear number that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave about a particular najasat is that of the kalb. So to be safe, it should be 7. But this qiyas is also not proven, because there are, for example, nadaha, and there is also other things that mention. Tayyib. So what is clear and what is the strong opinion is that every other najasa has to be washed 3 times. And what is the dalil for that? It is the Sahih hadith that Imam al-Tirmidhi and Abu Dawud and Ahmad have mentioned through authentic chain. فقال النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام إذا قام أحدكم من الليل. If somebody wakes up from the sleep of the night, فلا يغمس, do not put يداه, his hands, into into water, حتى يغسلها, his hands, 3 مرات. Do not put your hands in a bowl unless you have washed your hands 3 times. Tayyib, how is this a dalil? It's a sahih hadith. Here, in the longer narration, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says he doesn't know aina batat, he doesn't know where his hand went in the night, and he could have touched something najis, because there is parts of the body. So this tells you that any najasa that could have touched his hand, it would be enough to wash it 3 times. So it's a very clear dalil. It's a sahih hadith. That this means that average najasat, 3 washings would cleanse them. Some ulama said 1 is enough. But this is also not a clear opinion. Why? Because they said about the Arabi. Tayyib, but that Arabi's najasa was on the earth, on the ard. We're talking about on the self and on the clothing. Tayyib. So this tells us that what is clear from this hadith, that now at night somebody could have touched bowl, somebody could have touched, scratched their body to get water, blood or other things, other types of najasat, from the anus or whatever. But all of that will be cleansed with 3 washings. So this means that mutawassita has to be washed how many times? 3 times. This is the dars for today. Tayyib. And najasa mughallada, the major najasa, has to be washed how many times? 7. First of them has to be with dirt or something in place of it. What are those najasat? Pig and dog. Easy? Good. You know the dalail already. Then there is mukhaffafa, the light najasat. What are they? Urine of a boy that's still breastfeeding and madhi. How do you cleanse from it? Sprinkle water. It's enough. Tayyib. Those 2 you've memorized. Every other thing that's najis falls in the middle category. Mutawassita. How do you cleanse from it? 3 washings. Tayyib. Memorize that for today. Tayyib. Now, what is najis? What is najis? Mutawassita. Mutawassita, what is there? Blood, is it najis or not? What about the blood of animals? What about the blood of a person? How much blood? What about the blood of an animal you can eat? What about the blood of an animal you cannot eat? What about khamr? Alcohol, is it najis? What about urine? Urine of animals, urine of people, urine of children, urine. All of this, inshallah, we will discuss at the next dars. And it's very important for you to know, because some things are not najis that you may think are najis. Some things are najis that you may not know. Something you may have heard different opinions. So in the light of the Quran and Sahih Ahadith, we will discuss all of that next Friday, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakum Allahu khairan. Tayyib, good question. If a dog